This video is about the abuse here in Tillamook County. It's not just Tillamook, it's nationwide. Now, we did finally get some folks to take a look at some evidence. Some folks to look some stuff up and verify that those are not delusions. Those are not hallucinations. The Natalie Bollinger situation is very real. And so is the abuse that I take over it. There's some pictures I took. We'll see if we can get it to work. I'm not real good with electronics still, but I keep trying, you know. Alright. Apparently it's not in that phone. It must be in the other one. I probably should have paused this to work on that. But life is what happens while you're busy making plans. Alright, so we got this in here, examples of gaslighting. These are things that, well, sorry, not gaslighting, it says victim blaming. Now this one's British, I think, but their words are put together a little different than ours sometimes. What's done is done. These are things you're not supposed to say to victims. What's done is done. Don't look back. It's just your karma. Your feelings are an illusion. Be strong. Nobody can hurt you without your consent. Really. I wonder why you created this experience. There are no mistakes. Don't be a victim. It happened for a reason. Oh, that's real heavy one on the Christian side, isn't it? There are no accidents and no victims. I guess I should show that one up close so you guys can read it. Talking to survivors. This is a good one. What not to say. Why don't you leave the abusive home? Leaving is a complicated and difficult choice for various reasons. Be supportive regardless. What to say? You don't deserve what happened to you. There is no excuse for abuse. Well, you guys could see there's plenty of excuses for abuse. It's okay for you to abuse us men over and over and over again. I'm going to give you a little scenario here. I grew up in the system, so I had to deal with this one often. A lot of the black kids didn't like white kids for obvious reasons. Not because white kids are racist, but because every person that black kid had to deal with in the system was probably white. Until they got to the lockup, and it was primarily minorities. So, you get these black kids. You just want to fuck up a white kid. That's what they're thinking about. Now, of course, not all black kids are like this. And they didn't necessarily do it to all white kids either. There's some big white kids. Size may not determine your ability to fight, but it does have a lot to do with how people look at you. So, we used to have as white kids in the system to deal with bullies that would come up to us knowing that if they can get us to say something racist, then it justifies everything that they've done. Say they've been bullying you for 2 weeks and won't knock it off. And you get to hear the words, call me the N-word, I dare you, except they're not saying N-word. I dare you, call me the N-word, I dare you. But you're not going to do that. You listen to him screaming his crap. What's he going to do when you don't fall for his bullshit? He's going to assault you anyway and claim you called him the N-word. If you call a black person the N-word, then anything that they've done to you is magically okay. Somehow. So why didn't I go calling kids the N-word regardless of the fact that I was going to get accused of it anyway? Moral standards. So why do I use the C word? This C word is what we need to come up with right now as our point of contention. See, almost every woman I've gotten to know has shown me that they can do what they want. They don't have to care about the law. If they want something harmful to happen to you, they can have others do it to you. That's reality. A lot of women think that they can do whatever they want to innocent people. And if you use the C word, then it's magically okay. You see where I'm getting at with the N word? On one side of this talking to survivors thing, it's got a list of what not to say and why not to say it. And on the right, it says what to say, but not why. Most of this is blustering bullshit that they tell you what to say. A lot of times, you don't have to say anything. Matter of fact, the best thing you can do is shut the fuck up and listen. The truth is in the details. Well, you're busy interrupting to say I don't understand. Well, that's because you're busy interrupting. When you're trying to think of what to say next, you're not listening to the person you need to be listening to, which is the victim. In this case, that's me. Now then, let's look at mandated reporting. I showed a lot of stuff on mandated reporting. Tried to show a lot of stuff to mandatory reporters. They refused to look at it. Now, it either goes down one of two ways. Either one, they do their job as a mandatory reporter, which means here in Oregon that they have to turn it in right away, and then within 24 hours they have to make a written report. Now, like I said, it's going to go one of two ways. One, they're going to do their job, or two, they don't. How can you tell if they're going to do their job or not? Did they turn it in right away? Did they make the call right away? So here I go to CARE. TFCC will not do their jobs and they will not work with me. They've outright refused to do their job since the first day I walked into their office. These guys are mandatory reporters. So, when they screw up, they got one of two choices. They can victim blame. Oh, it's your fault, your fault. Plenty of examples in this in my life. Now, something I'm worried about at CARE is something that I've had to deal with elsewhere. I'll give you an example. So, Corona Counseling, that was Nicole Peralta in Nebraska. Between Nicole Peralta and Tamara, they missed 4 appointments, and I missed 1. So then I got a nasty letter in the mail saying that they were dropping me because I had missed 5 appointments. Now, what happened there? These people didn't show up to do their jobs. They also didn't document it. They used it as an excuse. The things that they did wrong. Now, missing our appointments isn't wrong. If you're sick, you're sick. If your car broke and you can't drive all the way from Scottsbluff, Nebraska to Chapel, Nebraska, I completely understand that. But it's not okay for me to be dropped from something that was supposed to help protect me from exactly what I've had to go through all these years. These were supposed to be advocates. Now here, I've got to go to care. The problem at care is that they and I have had a lot of previous issues. Another issue is that 2 of the people that I have to work with in a professional sense are felons. So there's a lot of stuff that they're not even able to do. I'm not a felon. I have literally never been convicted of a felony. Ever. Never even been charged with a sex crime. Never been charged with murder, and I've never been charged with manslaughter. Let's read this list on the left, what not to say. We'll just read to you what you're supposed to not say. Why don't you leave the abusive home? Why did you wait so long to leave? What did you do to provoke the abuse? Is it abuse if he didn't hit you? Why is it so hard for you to report an assault? Think about that one. Why would you let someone treat you this way? There are 2 sides of every story, that's right, and whose side is not being heard? It's not just my story. This is detrimental to the mistakes that these people at the TFCC and CARE, and of course, the police station, sheriff's department. These are mistakes that resulted in people being harmed, primarily me. But I'm not the only one. I gotta try to find a friend or family member to listen to this shit. Oh, here's the last one that says you need to move on. Isn't that just your cop out? We got 2 kinds of cowards. We got the cowards that work together. Those are called bullies. Bullies work together. And then you have the cowards that call themselves good people. They want to look the other way. Say, it's not my business. It's not my business. It's not my business. These people are always the ones who are pissed off when other people say, it's not my business. Now, the people that care have been kinder to me. They talk to me nicer. They listen to me. They make some time. The majority of our visits are not documented properly, in my opinion. Things need to be written down so that these folks can remember it if they're going to be an advocacy at all. It's been over 2 months since I was released on jail. They had to drop the charges and let me go because I was innocent. Imagine that. I wasn't put in jail because I did something bad. I was put in jail because I was trying to turn in the local police. And I got severely abused in jail because of it. Now, the people that care, I go down there every day. They're open. Every single day they've been open with the exception of one since I got out of jail. Now, there's a lot of stuff going on here, and it's nationwide. You have rights, but if somebody calls you mentally ill, they strip away all of your rights. Nothing you can do. And then between looking at evidence and listening to your predators, what are these people going to do? You're supposed to be able to show evidence, but they call you mentally ill, and then you got to jump through a bunch of hoops. What happens to your evidence in that time? Meanwhile, you're incarcerated. How are you going to pay the bills? So there's a lot more, obviously. A lot more I can show. Now let's read the side of what you're supposed to say. Some of these are good, some of them not so much. You didn't deserve what happened to you. There is no excuse for abuse. Well, there is no excuse for abuse. But I don't need to hear that. I need you to hear my story so you know it. Possibly even look at evidence and help me turn it in right away. If a mandatory reporter doesn't turn it in right away, they basically only have one option. One. So that they don't get in trouble. And that one option is to call the victim mentally ill. And at that point, you are their victim because they have refused to do their jobs as mandatory reporters. When they say they're going to tomorrow or the next day or the day after that, they need to actually do it. But the law says right away. And these people say, I don't know who to call. Imagine that. Nobody knows who to call, but everybody knows that I need to call somebody else, so let's just give you a bunch of numbers to call. And that turns out later on that they all know who it is that they're supposed to call. The people at TFCC, one of the things that's been important is I need to be able to sit down with the evidence and go over the evidence with whoever it is that's going to be my advocate. Now, the problem that I've had is the guy who's my advocate, there's a lot of issues at the beginning that he's been able to fix out. So that's good. I mean, it doesn't necessarily help me, but stuff in his life that he had to take care of so that he could actually work with me. Instead of both of us having to depend on others to give us rides, places, and things of that nature. That's most of what I need help with now, because my vehicle was taken and destroyed while I was locked up. I have no vehicle. I gotta try to get my disability money back, but the people at CARE were supposed to help me with that, and we haven't been able to get around to that. He said that for the next 2 weeks that he was going to be busy. So for the last 2 weeks, he's been busy. So this other lady that I've been speaking to, she's a little higher up in rank, and we had a couple of appointments set up that I missed, and I admit that. See, this is the issue I have with all of these professionals. They don't want to admit that they screwed up. They want to pawn it off on victims. At that point, they are victimizing you. At that point, they are taking away your voice. They are being dishonest and intentionally projecting dishonesty upon you. I don't care if you're a fucking therapist. That's not okay. That is unprofessional. So, I had to take a bunch of psychological evaluations because people who didn't want to do their jobs, I tried to turn in. They abused their position of power and the term mentally ill. But of those evaluations, they all say I'm not schizophrenic and I'm not delusional. Think about that. Not schizophrenic, not delusional. I'm autistic. And I'm being victimized over crimes I didn't commit. The only way to stop it is to speak out, but I'm also victimized for speaking out. I have to record the abuse, and then I'm abused for recording it. If I don't record it, they pretend that it's a delusion or that I made it up. If I do record it, they refuse to look at it and pretend that it's a delusion and that I made it up. And then they lock me up, so I don't have access to the evidence. And then they have mental health come in, people who aren't going to look up anything. And the cops tell, well, not the truth to these mental health folks. And these mental health folks don't listen to you, they listen to the cops. Thank goodness for me, Deputy Taylor looked up Natalie Bollinger before he ever met me, before he even knew I existed. Oh, not in camera. Maybe it's in screenshots. So there's a bunch of them in the screenshots here, things you're not supposed to say. Quit being so uptight about it. Well, that's obviously not going to help anybody. Let's see. Are people lying when they say looks don't matter? Says men are less likely to lie about it. There's a lot more in there, but that's not what I was wanting to bring up. Now let's bring up Tillamook County. Alright. A veteran police chief's fall. How Ray Rao ended up in jail. June 25th, 2024, Ray Rao came to Tillamook's rescue in early 2021. The city's police department had no chief, its staffing was in disarray, and community blah 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 blah. It's the news. Basically what happened is Ray Rao lost his job. There was over 80 instances of evidence disappearing. There's also the lies told by the police in many, many, many cases. See if they have one in YouTube we can listen to. Let's see. Oh, sorry. I didn't realize this crap was going to be on here.
Police chief has been charged with stealing money and stealing drugs. Put him up full mask. Hell of a thing. Raymond Rao, chief of police on the Oregon coast, faces criminal charges amid allegations that he took drugs and the man took money from his own evidence locker at the police station. So Chief Rao is now charged with 2 counts of first-degree official misconduct.
Now, it's more than just that. The fact is, out of those 80 incidences, he was only charged with 4 of them. What about the rest of them? Where are the rest of the people who were stealing that stuff? Well, they're still working here. They're still working here. Every day I go down there to care in the hopes of turning in the abuse, hoping people who I'm speaking with are at least going to take notes, write down what I'm telling them about the abuse. Now, several of them have seen some of the evidence. They know these things are happening. They know they're not delusions. They know these things are absolutely the truth. But are they turning it in? Now, there's a lot of days, and don't get me wrong, I'm not hating on these people. The people that care, about 80% of the time, don't remember why it is we were supposed to visit. And then I have to try to remind them. But by that point, what they've done is overbooked. Both the gentleman and the lady who were trying to help me there at CARE have repeatedly double or triple booked. Or things come up, or they've gotten sick, both of them. Do I have to worry about them not helping me because they didn't show up? Probably not. But I've had to deal with that before. And almost all of the abusive situations that I had to deal with at CARE, they've dropped. The fact is that those things did happen. Now, there's many things that are called rewording that are used to harm victims. Like when you say it's repeated and ongoing abuse, let's say it's the third time you've been assaulted by the same person, and you go into these places and you tell them you're enduring repeated and ongoing abuse. Well, by law, they have to do something about it. They have to report it. But did they? Did TFCC? Did Northwest Senior and Disability Services? Did anybody ever try to investigate it? So, just like the stuff with Nicole Peralta, my therapist in Nebraska, if you miss, I understand. But if I'm being punished because you didn't write it down, you didn't document it, and I'm being blamed for your actions, well, yeah, that's criminal. I'm still disabled. My rights as a disabled person don't exist because I'm intelligent. My rights as an intelligent person don't exist because I am disabled. I am 100% dependent on mandatory reporters to turn in the abuse immediately, and not a single one has done so. Not a single one. There's hundreds of calls just here in Tillamook, Oregon alone, recorded on my YouTube channel. Which, of course, I gotta go through tons of bullshit to try to get back, and spend a whole bunch of money to try to get back, so that I can tell the truth. Now, although I'm making excuses, I suppose, for these people, that they got sick, or that they weren't there for whatever reason, or they double or triple booked, I'm not making excuses for those people. I'm giving you the information that I was given. Whether it was true or not is arbitrary. There's also some of my predators have found this YouTube channel. Imagine that. None of my friends found it. None of my friends care enough. But my predators, even after all these years, still love getting on my channel. My enemies care more about me than my friends. How many of my friends come and check up on me? How many of my friends say, "Are you okay?" And no, I'm not okay. Obviously, I'm not schizophrenic. Obviously, I'm not delusional. Obviously, I'm still going through the runaround. They still keep trying to do what it is they were doing when I first started bitching about Tillamook, trying to shove me into some sort of housing that I'm never hearing back from. Don't help nobody. How is changing the subject to housing going to turn in Andrew Wolnez, who, by the way, still breaks a protection order nearly every day? Then there's, of course, his friend, John Focius, who lives at 309 Birch here in Tillamook. Yeah, I know where the guy lives. You know how I found out where he lives? I got out of the hospital last year. Was walking down the street trying to come over here, and some guy starts screaming profanities at me off of his porch. I look over and it's John. Imagine my surprise. Now, there's a lot of stuff here that just doesn't add up. That's the thing with the Natalie Bollinger case. It doesn't add up. You look at my evidence, you realize, first of all, that her family was full of shit. Second of all, that she was full of shit. Third of all, that you got an innocent man taking a lot of abuse for doing the right thing. But I didn't use the right words every single time. I started off nicely. I started off asking nicely for these people to stop, for them to put an end to the harassment and the stalking and the violence. And then Natalie got killed. I went to all of the mandatory reporters in Colorado I was told to go to. I went to all of the mandatory reporters in Nebraska that I was told to go to. I went to the sheriff's department in Dual County before Natalie was killed, more than once. I went to Nicole Peralta every single week until we were able to adjust it to once a month. Over and over and over I went. Because Nicole Peralta and Tamara were supposed to be mandatory reporters. Talked to State Patrol too, in the Sidney Hospital in Sidney, Nebraska. They didn't want to do their jobs either. I tried telling the cops in Colorado, multiple police officers on multiple occasions. I went in to try to fill out protection order crap, and I was sent around in circles. I was told because I didn't know somebody's social security number that I couldn't turn them in. Their social security number. Do your predators generally stop and give you their social security number? Then there's things cops play. They'll change the rules over and over and over again, and they'll outright lie about the situation. Well, they'll listen to anything Natalie Bollinger has to say because she's a pretty white girl. She was on heroin. Actually on heroin in her system. Meanwhile, there is no point in my life you would have ever found heroin in my system. You never find heroin. Never found fentanyl. Never found cocaine. Because I never did those things. Ever. My entire life. And then these predators want to claim I have a history of drug use. Oh, that must be it. So you're not claiming that I'm on drugs now. You're claiming I used to do drugs, and therefore I don't know what's going on. Natalie Bollinger was on drugs, and you listen to her. But these police officers, these internet hecklers, which I already have two of them on here on my YouTube channel, both of them have made video after video about me. Harassment and heckling videos. Yes, I see them. I see that they exist. Do I watch them? No. A waste of fucking time. I'm sorry I've made this video so long and gone over so much. Sorry it wasn't as linear as I would have liked it to be, but I have a situation where I'm pressed for time. I can't just record all day. And the recordings take forever to fucking download. Anyway, one of the things about the two people who are heckling me, and the fact they've made the videos they have, means that I'm able to collect evidence of it. So you guys got all these warnings, right, about protecting your children online. What about protecting the disabled online and in real life? See, you guys will make the connection that some pervert talking to your 9-year-old might try to do something fucked up. But when they do it to a disabled male on the streets, you look the other way. While they do fucked up things to us, including murdering us. You don't have to be guilty. Here in the United States of America, if you are a homeless man, you are not a human being to these people. You're a victim. You are someone that they can take their crap out on whenever they want. And they can lie. And they can prevent your evidence from ever being shown by calling you mentally ill. They can take away your right to a speedy trial. 60 days they have for that. Meanwhile, I was locked up for 15 months without trial. 15 months.